Hey, Spring Arbor students. This is week 3 for the ORG601 class. Wanted to just go through a few things with you real quick here. I'm going to hit a few points on Chapter 7, a few points on Chapter 8, talk to you a little bit about what I'm seeing with the rating assignments, give you a little feedback on that. So, Chapter 7, about designing interventions. Take note on page 162 and 163. There's a note there about interventions and their effectiveness, especially in the organizational development area of research. Not a lot of correlation out there in the research area between interventions and their effectiveness or the effects that are created in your organization. So don't get discouraged. If you design an intervention, this will be like for your future projects now. As you design an intervention, do some work, and you don't see exactly the results that you thought you would see. The research is kind of silent in this area about the effects of organizational development, interventions on the organization. So table 7.1 is kind of interesting. Take a look at that when you get a chance. It's about the culture and values. Now it's about national cultures, but pay attention to this table. Whenever you design an intervention for your organization, you gotta remember there's a culture involved that's very specific to your organization. Some of the values listed in that table might help you out there. Let's see, Chapter 8. Real quick, planning the intervention. This is a great chapter actually on preparing your organization for an intervention. It's about this chapter will help prepare you to prepare others. So this is the step where your leadership ability is going to be really challenged. Preparing others for an intervention isn't always very easy because people don't see the need for it. They won't get it. They won't understand why they have to do it. Section 8.5. Subsection D, so 8.5D, is about the learning understanding the learning process in your organization. So what does that mean? Think about how your organization learns from its successes and its failures, either those formal or informal activities that they do to learn about what happens after an event. So for example, one of the companies I worked for, we did an analysis after every major launch, or in fact during launches. It was things gone wrong and things gone right. So TGWs and TGRs. And we actually listed them out. Our team got together, we brainstormed, and then we used that list, kind of prioritized it and used it to evaluate, fix future problems as well. So that's an example of a learning process in an organization. We learned about how well we did or didn't do something. Look for those opportunities in the company, your host organization, because those are the places where you can tap in as you get ready to do change and connect a change to something that went right or to something that went wrong, for example. Okay, let's see. The next couple of minutes, just want to hit an overview of what I'm seeing on the rating. Turn on your word processor. Turn your grammar checker, on your word processor. Turn it on, enable the features. Again, most of the grammar errors I'm seeing in Project 1, Week 1's papers are all very identifiable and fixable with a grammar checker. I download your files into Microsoft Word and they pop right up. So it's easy to find, so you can see them as well if you have that feature turned on. Don't worry about passive sentence structures. I'm saying that. Don't write passively if you can avoid it, okay? But sometimes it happens, and I don't want you to kill yourself over that one right now. Let's solve the bigger issues, then we'll get to the passive sentence structures and that sort of thing. So turn your grammar checker on. APA references. Do not capitalize book titles and article names, except for the first word or right after a subtitle, the first word there. APA is very specific about how you create references for titles and books. Make sure you're following it. Don't use first person writing. Don't say I, me, we, second person, they. If you can avoid it, don't use the word they. Instead, write third person. Okay? Write third person. Kind of remove yourself from the situation and write it so somebody else can look at it and not know who you are. Let's see. In your reference section, include only those works and articles that you specifically cite in your paper. You should not be listing in your reference section all the references that you read but didn't cite. Now, in a bibliography, when you're asked to do that, that's where you list all the surrounding work that you read to help formulate your thoughts that you may not have cited. When you engage in scholarly writing, use shorter sentence structures that make it easier for your reader to understand. A lot of you are using long sentences, and it's hard to read. You get lost in it. So when you do write with shorter sentences, though, make sure it's not too choppy and you kind of have to glue them all together. Listen, writing with a scholarly intent, it's tough. It's a lot of work. Scholarly writing is different from other types of writing, like for emails, for example. Generally, in scholarly writing, you're writing to an educated audience that's hunting, they're looking for information on a specific topic. Scholarly writing does not need to be dry, but too much flowery language gets in the way and it diminishes the scholarliness, if I can use that word, of the paper that you're writing. So as you read those peer review articles, for example, take a look at how they write. It's a lot different than some of the way that you are writing. You want to get to that level of writing for this course and for this MBA program. So my comments in your papers, about scholarly writing and mechanics and fluency, they're not personal criticisms, okay? Listen, I want them to be constructive. I'm trying to help you to get to the next level of writing so that when you need to write scholarly, you can and you'll be ready. So, by the way, when we exchange emails, don't worry about scholarly writing. I'm not judging you when you write me an email and it's got misspellings and all that sort of thing. I'm not looking at that kind of stuff when I'm reading emails. So don't angst over making the perfect email before you send it off to me. Okay, let's see. Oh, the other thing I want to make sure you know is this. When you're writing scholarly, you don't have to always write scholarly. It's okay to shift gears, right? When you're writing an email, you're talking to people, a little more looser format, you're texting people, obviously. Okay, there's different types of communication for different types of audiences. Scholarly writing is a very narrow field, and it's an audience that you don't always run into. Okay, but you have to know how to do this for your program. So let's see. Regarding some of your sources, I noticed that many of you reference articles from journals, and that's okay. That's acceptable. Remember, though, in terms of APA citing and referencing, if you are accessing the article electronically, you have to cite the website or the source rather, and the date that you got it. Okay, the date that you pulled it up. So APA is very specific about that. I'm going to start marking off for that in the future because I know that you're not all like getting these stacks of magazines on your desk or taking them all off the shelf and going to get them. You're getting a lot of this stuff online. Reference it. Just tell me where they're coming from. Let's see, one last thing. Remember, this course is about helping you prepare for upcoming courses. Like 642 is about research methods. 600 is about you're going to be writing a proposal. The proposal has to be written in a scholarly format, okay? Ultimately leading to 686, which is your field work. So this course is preparation for some things coming up. So if I'm tough on you right now with the writing, I'm really just trying to make it a little bit easier for you in the future. Okay, talk to you later. Have a great weekend.